And that's what, like, I think acting is. People want to make it, on our worst days, we try to make it all about ourselves, but the actual point is to be part of the story. It's not about you at all. And that's the solution to the problem of the story, of telling the story, is you need to be that solution, that perfect piece that helps people understand humanity better.
If you're a professional actor challenged by an increasingly fragmented industry, then this podcast is for you. The Hollywood Actor Podcast is an anthology made up of the stories of actors building their bodies of work by redefining themselves, reframing their goals, and reevaluating their opportunities. No matter where we are in our careers, we're always looking to be inspired and to share ourselves across our community. This podcast will offer that opportunity to guests and listeners alike as we all discover what it means to be a working, professional, successful actor. This is Jamie Young, and you're listening to the Hollywood Actor Podcast. Today's guest is Kristen DeVore Rakes. Kristen is now based in Los Angeles, but has built up her career as a filmmaker across the Southwest. As an actor, Kristen trained at Albuquerque Actors Studio and the Scene Shop. Her credits include NBC's The Night Shift, NBC's Midnight Texas, and FX's American Horror Story. And you can see her in the new Netflix film Velvet Buzzsaw. Now let's welcome Hollywood actor Kristen DeVore Rakes. So, college at Santa Fe, you study filmmaking, and then immediately you pop out of that and you're a filmmaker, you're directing short films within the New Mexico film industry?
I didn't really direct anything after school. I sort of hated everything I did there, so I was like, I can't. But what I did do was I jumped right into film production because it was really starting to boom. So I got an internship on Employee of the Month. I think it must have been during my last semester or something. And then that turned into an actual job. And I kind of just got put in the art department, which ended up being a lovely place. And I had wonderful people that I worked with. And so I stuck with them for a couple of movies. And so I just ended up working crew for a bit, which was really fun. Just super exciting for a bright-eyed young Kristen in her early 20s who was just excited to be on a set. And eventually that snowballed into working on No Country for Old Men, which, is strange to get to see a Best Picture pretty much from start to finish, how it rolls out and what it takes to get there. And that was like an amazing experience. And then after that, we moved to California, and I actually worked as an extra for, I think, about a year and a half. I have like over 200 extras vouchers. I still have them all because it's part of my history.
What was the impetus to make the move to Hollywood?
Actually, my husband at the time he got a job flying out of Santa Barbara. And since I wanted to be acting, we sort of split the difference and we lived in Ventura. Yeah. So I would actually drive down to LA probably 4 or 5 days a week to do extra work. I don't know how I did that. It was exhausting. I could have kept working crew here. Like that was an option, but I felt like I had to move more in the acting direction because crew is great and I had a future there, but I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Okay, it was just one part of the pie, of the puzzle.
Yeah. And a part that I'm very grateful for to this day. And I went back to it when we moved back to New Mexico. I went back to working in crew and loved that. Worked with amazing people. And then at some point again, I had to say, I'm not focusing on acting. And if I'm ever going to get this done, I got to put my all into it.
And then you booked Longmire.
Yeah, after 7 years, 7 years of having an agent and auditioning, I booked, yeah.
Sure. But that was, encouragement, kind of set the wheels in motion, right?
Yeah, it did. It felt, I'll never forget that feeling of finding out that I finally booked something. I think, Some people can just walk in off the street, and they do. I I started auditioning for stuff in New Mexico during the wildfire pilot, which I don't even remember what year that was. It was like 2002 or something. Um, so, and then Longmire didn't happen until '09 or 10 or something like that. Um, so it was a long time.
You have a whole litany of TV credits now.
Well, honestly, like I sucked. I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm a person that learns in a very, we all have our ways that we learn, and taking classes and stuff actually wasn't able to teach me what I needed to see. Which I just needed to watch other people audition. And once I started being able to do that, because I started working in a casting office, I was like, oh, I've been doing this completely wrong. So it's because it's its own special skill, auditioning is. And so when I do very much learn by example. So you could put me in an audition workshop setting over and over again, but if I keep only seeing myself and other people who don't know what they're doing do it, I'm never going to get better. Like, you can try to get it out of me, but I need to watch somebody who knows what they're doing. I really do. And so when I knew it about myself, but I tried to follow everybody else's rules for, like, take this class and take this class. And then it just, in the end, it's never really worked for me that well.
Sure. Well, we're surrounded by a lot of people that, and a lot of classes, a lot of studios that say, put your ego aside or put your training aside. I have all the answers. Come to me, come into the fold. And that's
And that's
a
great
big
for
part.
some people. But the reason it doesn't work for me is actually because my brain is quite simple. And when you tell me to do something a certain way, I will follow those rules, and I won't be able to think outside of the box. And then I am so concerned with following those rules that I can't actually be natural, or. So that's the way that I am not. That's why I actually, like, I'm not disparaging taking classes, because I certainly gotten tools from each of them. There's like Laura's class and Chad's class both were amazing for me, and they're amazing teachers, and I learned so much from them. It's not them I'm actually talking about so much, but like I've shied away from following certain, like, oh, are you a method actor, blah blah blah, all these different things. I'm like, I have to not do that, because I will try to follow those rules so much that I'll actually screw myself over in the end.
Yeah. Well, I think an effective drama school or university or any type of acting studio will these days definitely say that we bring in different teachers of different disciplines. There's no
Mm-hmm.
one right way to do anything. And a lot of the actors I've been talking to, they find tools along the way from different studios, books,
Absolutely.
experience. And that's a really exciting angle to think of actor training as going behind the desk at auditions and getting into the
Mm-hmm.
world of casting. When did you start
Mm-hmm.
getting into that world?
I think that was about 2010. I think that's when I started working for Joanna Bolden. And that was sort of a fluke. I just asked her if I could be her reader, and then she was losing her assistant at the time. And so I started working for her, and it made a huge difference to see, because I really did have that weird feeling that now seems crazy to me, that casting directors don't want you to do well. Like, it's so dumb to even think that. They, of course, we were just dying for people to walk in and knock our socks off. And that's always been a huge help to me now when I go in, to know that they're just waiting for me to do that. They do not want me to fail. Why on earth would they want me to fail? It's going to make their day longer.
Have you continued to work in casting since you moved back to Los Angeles?
I have not. It's something that I wouldn't mind delving back into down the road, because I really do enjoy working with actors, um, and it was so exciting watching people come in and bring their own spins on things. And it was also heartbreaking when somebody would come in and just give an amazing performance and then them not get it. So and it's really hard as an actor to watch that, um, because you empathize so much with it. So it's not something that I've done since I've been here, but it's not something that I'm extremely opposed to either.
Yeah, as you direct, get to produce those short films that you said you're getting to work on? Because you have so many different ideas. You're coming at filmmaking from so many different holistic angles. It's really interesting to have had those different types of professional experiences on union sets at union auditions, and you're not necessarily the one that's having the camera pointed at you. You're getting to observe a little bit more, and I'm sure that brings a wealth of education, some really interesting stories to bear.
And not even that. I mean, I worked for Reels Channel, which is basically entertainment news, and so I saw the back end side of it, where like the publicity side of it, and what actors have to, like, the part of the machine that they are when the movie's coming out and doing interviews and all that jazz. So like I've seen it all from a lot of different perspectives, and kind of it all gave me a pretty strong idea of what it takes to be an actor, like the whole business of it. I mean, sure, there's a lot that I don't know also, but it's been an interesting education and challenge. Like, do you really want this? Because this is what it looks like. Like Comic Con doesn't, it's not like, I will never forget walking in and doing red carpets for Comic Con, and you're literally just in a ballroom. They're not like going to an event; they're just doing a red carpet. It's like it's weird facades, and and like maintaining the. I had to cut together an interview of Robert Downey Jr. one time. I don't remember how much of it made into the show, but it was about Iron Man, and he was talking about being a showman and turning it on and turning it off, because I think he's actually quite a quiet person, but he knows how to play the game and how to perform his image that he has. And I found it really interesting, and I respected him so much after hearing him talk about that.
How were you working with reels?
Yeah, basically I would put together packages for the show. So like in Comic Con, we'd have a package about what was it at the time? I think it was like Green Hornet, and Scott Pilgrim came out that year. And so I would put together the interviews. I would pick out the pieces, which actually was a huge responsibility. I realized what a huge responsibility I had to those people, to not cut out sound bites and make them sound like idiots. And so it also taught me how to speak in sound bites, and how not to, and how to make it so that they can't cut things out and make you sound like a jerk.
Were they trying to make sure that they did say certain things and that they did come across in a certain way?
Yeah, some people are really good at it. Other people just don't care, and they don't want to play the game at all. And it's interesting. It's an interesting discipline of it.
That's such an interesting world.
Yeah, I actually I did the red carpet for Velvet Buzzsaw last week, and it was fascinating to me because, okay, this is the Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo movie, and um, what everyone was actually asking me about was the director for once, and I loved that because I love Dan Gilroy, and I think he's like one of the only true. Um, I won't say only, but like he's one of the few artists, artist, director, writers. His words are so rich and beautiful. And so I loved that they were asking me about him. I thought they'd be like, what was it like to work with Jake? Which I don't think anyone asked me that.
Well, that film is supposed to be incredibly stylistic, right?
It is. And I thought I really enjoyed it.
Were you working as an actress on that project?
I have a scene, it takes place in an art gallery, and I'm playing a German woman.
Oh, so going from Longmire when you were in New Mexico, you did book other co-stars while you were in New Mexico, or you came back to Hollywood and bounced between markets?
I was in New Mexico, and I I had that first TV credit. I don't feel like I booked TV again for a long time. I did more movies. Um, and then in what year was that? Maybe 2016? Yeah. Um, I booked, I did have an LA agent, and I would come for auditions, but I didn't have very many. And then suddenly, randomly, I booked American Horror Story. So that was the first time back in LA working. but everything else was in New Mexico to that point. And then I did another movie in New Mexico right after that. Like literally, I didn't think this would ever happen, but I went from I left set in LA at 6 a.m. and I was on set in New Mexico by noon in Santa Fe. So it was cutting it close. But then after that, about 5 months later, I ended up moving to LA.
And was that a case of work begets work? Like, you've seen these actors that are auditioning for TV and film within the Hollywood film industry at these union auditions. And so you're seeing the caliber of actors, what these actors' bold choices are, how they come into the room, and then you start booking TV roles, you start booking some film roles, and it starts snowballing from there.
It definitely, I mean, when you come in knowing that you're working on another set in a week, like you really build your confidence. It really does. And so it's also easy to lose steam than when you're not. I didn't work at all in 2017. And I thought I'm never going to work again. And it's unpleasant to go through those times. But certainly when you book something and you finally feel like, okay, somebody sees something in me, then you do walk into a room a little bit differently.
Well, it's a career of highs and lows, right? Ups and downs, and we
Absolutely.
can't necessarily be giving ourselves those breaks on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are booking titles that people recognize, it seems like there's a little bit of weight that's afforded to that helps an actor's career gain a little bit of momentum.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's that thing of like, um, you're the ugly kid in school, but then suddenly, like, one boy likes you, and then all the boys like you because you seem desirable to the one. It's like, it really is like that. Oh, this person is. It's so great when you get an audition and you're on set somewhere else. They lose their minds. And, oh, she's on set somewhere. Oh, yes, send a tape. Oh, we're so excited. It really is. It's a mind game, but it's kind of how it works.
Maybe that is how it works, and just creating content, like you said, you're going back to that well. You're going to be directing and writing your own short films. You're trying to push forward regardless of whether the opportunities to audition are there. You're just trying to say, I exist, I have something to say now, I'm very confident now.
Yeah, and actually, the reason that I got Velvet Buzzsaw was because I made my own short, and then I had I met Rene Russo on um, a movie called Just Getting Started, and for whatever reason we hit it off, and and her husband is Dan Gilroy, the director of Velvet Buzzsaw, and I didn't know who he was, and we just started talking about cheese at this party that we were at, and just really hit it off with them. And at some point, I had sent them the short that I did where I had a German accent, and then he was like, "Well, I need somebody with a German accent. Can you just come do this?" And I was like, okay, I guess I guess I'll try to bring that back up. And they were so sweet because they acted like I was doing them a favor, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, this is amazing."
Well, you made it easy for them. They needed a girl with a German accent, and they run into you eating cheese at their
Absolutely.
party.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
mean, it seems like actually that's something you are identifying through your career is you're trying to help solve people's problems, no matter what you're doing within the film industry. You're trying to figure
Well,
out, okay, what is the problem to be solved here?
and that's what, like, I think acting is. People want to make it on our worst days. We try to make it all about ourselves, but the actual point is to be part of the story. It's not about you at all, and that's the solution to the problem of the story, of telling the story. Is you need to be that solution, that perfect piece that helps people understand humanity better.
Yeah, you got to walk in, you have to perform that note like in
Mm-hmm.
a musical score.
Totally. And if you're the wrong note, I mean, sorry, but you're going to be the right note in something else.
Yeah,
I'm the wrong
as
note
long
for
as you hit
so
it
many things.
clearly and it.
I really am.
But you're right. There's right notes out there that play beautifully in different symphonies.
Absolutely. And I've had auditions where I'm like, I don't identify with this character at all. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're not the right note and you're too sharp for whatever this piece that's being performed is, and you just don't belong. That's actually a horrible feeling. I mean, it's great that you're making $1,000 a day or whatever, but oof, you don't want to stick out like that.
But also you're working and you're meeting people, you're staying plugged into the industry. There are worse things, but
Yes, absolutely.
it couldn't be more fulfilling, I wouldn't think, to be brought onto a project for being your essence. You walk in that room, that's you. We want you.
It is the best. I
That
mean,
sounds good.
it's the same thing with dating, I suppose. Like, you don't want to go on a date and be somebody you're not, and then the person falls for that person. Well, that person doesn't exist. But if they fall for you, then that's the real thing. It's the same with casting. And if somebody, if it, you hear stories all the time of directors and producers meeting actors coming in for a pilot, and then they end up writing them into the show because they just liked their essence so much. Like, that really does happen, and I think it's also the basis of charisma. I think is being in touch with who you are and being so unabashedly okay with it that it makes everybody else feel like they can be okay with themselves.
100%. I think what attracted me to acting and on my journey to training as an actor was that I wanted to understand how I could tweak myself, how I
Mm,
could observe the world and different peoples, different cultures, and try to emulate that in a convincing way, but feel it for myself and create that feeling in others. I think it might be great training, but it might be an older idea of what acting is. Since
mm,
there are so many actors and so many platforms, everybody can now afford to be a little bit more choosy. They can say you're a great actor, but you're still a D sharp.
yeah.
That you're a great actor, but that's you. Do that because you're the best that does that. Because in LA, since I moved here, you endlessly hear about typing and branding. There's workshops and whole teachers and books. Who are you? What do you look like? What do you feel like? What do you sound like? And then you identify those things and you make your headshot look like that. You make your demo reel resonate like that. You walk in the office and you're dressed like that. And to early career actors, people that are, really just trying to get into acting, I think a lot of us we originally thought of acting as trying to be malleable, trying to change ourselves. And I don't know if we have to wait till we get to that position in the industry where we are allowed to deviate from ourselves, or if that's just something that we've lost in
I
this
I
new
think that
digital era.
some people really can do that. I think there's a Sam Christensen's workshop. He just passed away. I mean, literally like 2 weeks ago or something. Amazing, amazing human being. And it was, it wasn't a branding workshop. It was finding your essence. And what was different about it is it didn't matter. It wasn't there to say, oh, you should always play a butcher. It was there to say, this is what people see in you, and it's something you can take into every role that you have. And it really helped me define like the things that people read about me, even when I walk into a room and all that jazz. Just really an amazing workshop. And I've held on to those things because those are the things that he spoke of it as like, you're a professor of this thing. Uh, like he used Keanu Reeves as an example. Keanu Reeves was a professor of luck because Keanu Reeves in his real life has had extremely good luck and extremely bad luck. And so in all of his roles, there's this sort of underlying thing about his characters being lucky or unlucky. like he's the one, or gosh, now I'm like, I can't even remember all Keanu Reeves, like he's really unlucky, and so that was his thing, and so um, I've thought about it more in those terms. My he kind of parses it all down into like one word that you um, it's sort of like your thing, and mine was regret. I was like, this is so depressing. But he also teaches you how to use the flip side of it. And the opposite of regret is hope. And so, like, not only am I a professor of regret, I'm a professor of hope. And so, like, that's my
Oh, it's your
special little
light and
thing.
dark.
Yes,
Okay.
it's, yeah, exactly. Your yin and yang and whatever. Um, and so, my auditions become not so much about fitting into a mold and blah 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 blah. It's like, if I'm a professor of regret, um, does that tie into this situation? And certainly, a lot of my roles, they, man, it's it's really there. Even like I played a ghost in Midnight Texas last year, and basically the whole role um, is about regret and like things that I did wrong in life and was trying to make right.
Wow, you could either that's pretty trippy,
It
Kristen. That's
is.
because you could either look on a career as being, well, that's coincidence. Oh, that's pretty lucky that that person is that way in real life, or that that person's last project was so and so, and now their next project is so and so. But like Jim Carrey, famously, he really draws parallels between his own life and the projects he does, and now Keanu Reeves. Maybe there is really something to that essence that radiates from us, that aura
Hmm.
that people sense. Wow,
I
hope and
think there
regret.
is.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
he's dead. I wonder what what my what my essence word would have been.
I think you can figure it out. I don't know if anyone's going to pick up his.
The
He was
mantle, yeah. Is
so
there any
gifted.
disciple?
Yeah, pick up. He had people that worked with him, and a lot of people went through his program. And I would love to see uh, that, but I don't know. He was so special that I like truly gifted in that way. And not only did you get that, you got like a whole 3 page, just like Times New Roman double spaced like lines of ideas of your. I can't. It's. I need to go back and look at it because um, I wish I could remember what he picks out a main one for you to always remember. Of course, I can't remember what mine is, but there's a couple in there um, that it's just we get so lost, and like you said, we try to like make ourselves malleable, and I think that totally works for some people. Like Daniel Day Lewis, he can transform into anything. Um, for those of us who don't do that as much, just remembering who we are and the thing that we bring to it. I just so believe in freeing other people. It was like when I first started watching 30 Rock, I was like, I needed this show 10 years before because there's something about how dorky and wonderful Tina Fey is that freed me to be like, oh, I'm not so weird. I'm not the only one who is so weird. I can't believe she thinks this thing too. And that's something I'm really passionate about. Like through my performance or whatever I do, making somebody else feel less weird and less like an outsider.
Yeah, giving them hope.
Giving them hope because I don't want them to regret not living their fullest life.
Wow, so that you've had quite the experiences here in Hollywood. These different classes and workshops.
Yeah, yeah, and just life and meeting meetings. Also, like working with some of the greats and watching their technique is super inspiring, and also just challenge like I mean, in any field, if you're working with the top people and seeing them as human beings, it really changes your perspective.
And are you able to do that on a weekly basis? I know you can't
No.
expect yourself to be on some of these union sets on a weekly basis, but maybe you're watching movies, maybe you're watching behind the scenes, uh, Q&As at festivals or screenings. How are you really plugging into the Hollywood film industry while you're here in town?
I think maintaining some relationships that I already have, trying to be around people that sharpen me, um, and just sort of walking through doors as they open. It can be so exhausting. I was talking to a friend about it today. There's this tyranny of, um, I could do more. I could always be doing more. Why am I not doing more? Oh my gosh, am I being lazy? Somebody else is working harder than me. And that really gets in the way, actually, of making any progress. So I have to be really careful about the comparison game, obviously, is horrible. And I'm fortunate to have some friends that just work so hard at what they're doing. Um, but I have to stay on my own path, and I have to focus my energy into places that actually work for me and matter for me. On a weekly basis, I'm right now what I'm doing is trying to I'm reading about screenwriting again, and I'm sort of gathering all these ideas and just working on getting those tools back, because they're a little dull right now. And then also, what I do as far as auditions, I like if I haven't had an audition in a while, I'll start trying to learn something every week just to keep that sharp. And like I said, just keeping up connections with people.
Are those connections that you've made in classes and working on films? Like you really make sure that you go and get that cup of coffee. You really make sure that you go and see that person's play, that kind of thing.
I mean, I feel like it's more personal than that, because that's I don't I really like Jamie. You are a very genuine person, and so nobody would ever like you're not this person. But like a lot of people, they do things for their own you know good, and I don't really let myself hang out with people that I am not genuinely interested in as human beings. So it doesn't have to be about
Yeah.
acting. It doesn't have to be. It's about sharing life.
No. Yeah. But that's it's not something that Los Angeles is just giving us.
No, it's not.
This town is it really pulls people apart in so many different directions. It's not just spread out. The people in it live in these little different towns, these little different worlds. They're on different career paths. They have totally different friendships, relationships, side hustles, all the rest. And to continuously plug into even your really tight friend group can be something that takes a lot of energy. And so that's why I'm asking a lot of different actors, not just on the podcast, but I'm just trying to ask everybody, what do you do to help ground yourself on a weekly basis? Who do you check in with? Because I've learned that I need to check in with myself, but then when I'm grounded, when I'm centered, when I'm at neutral, and I want to engage, and not even engage in an artistic way, I just want to engage. Sometimes I don't have that physical location. I don't go to the gym, or I don't go to the church, or I don't go to you know, I don't go to the beach, or anything, because it's always like a rotating assortment of events or places or people. And so to keep something in your life on a weekly basis, I think is extremely important.
I absolutely agree. It's when I lived here before, I didn't have that many people. I had a couple, and this time now I have so many wonderful people, and it's made living in LA a completely different experience. And um, I do see them weekly, and I'll make myself drive across town if I have to, because you have to, because it fills your soul. Um, I have one friend that I hike with almost every week, and that's probably my main thing that I do is I hike with people. And it's like, I don't talk about acting that much. I talk about I because acting is not the point of my life. the point of my life is something else, and acting is just a vehicle for doing that. It's what I talked
Yes.
about. It's like helping people become free. And if you have a goal in your life like that, whether acting works out or not, it's not really the point. And it's like, I drive Uber right now, and I get those opportunities every day with people to have genuine interactions that neither one of us are even looking for. And all of a sudden, like, we're crying or we're laughing together. And even though it's not what I want to be doing, where I want to be doing it, it's still the thing, and it still fills my soul. And that's incredibly important to me.
Wow. That's really well articulated, Kristen.
I have no
And
idea
that's
where
very
that's coming from. I'm really hungry right now.
no, and that's very
But it's the truth. It's honestly the truth.
it's the truth. And it's very heartfelt truth. This is an excellent reason for me to be doing this podcast because it's so healthy.
I hope so, because
It's
I'm
half
tired
of
of
it.
being unhealthy.
Yes. Oh,
Tired of
amen.
waiting for
Amen to
people
that.
to say yes to you is one of the most exhausting things you could do.
It's we can't live that way. We shouldn't live
No,
that
we
way.
can't.
We have to take back the control. We can take that back the control now. But even just creating doesn't have to be an end in and of itself.
No.
Y- You know, we're trying to fill our lives and fill the lives of others around us. But if we don't know who those people are around us, like I just moved into a studio. There's 25 units, and I think I know the woman's name across from me, and I've been living across from her for 2 months now.
Hmm.
That's not great.
That's not great, but it's better than a lot of people.
Yeah,
But we need community. We do.
but we need community. We're a social creature,
Hmm.
humans.
Well, I think that it's just there's always lessons if you're just open to listening. They're there. I mean, we're all here to sharpen each other.
We should be all here to sharpen each other.
We
But so
should,
much of
yes.
the industry gets in the way of that.
It's true.
Even now that it's such an open industry, it's such a fragmented industry. I
Hmm.
think you're exactly right. Like now we have not only the opportunity but the responsibility to help each other in a myriad of ways. I really look forward
My
to that. I hope that this podcast is a small contribution to that, but I look
well, I
forward
think
to
it. I
more
think it
meaningful
is.
ways.
Because we should always be finding more meaning to life. And I think the thing about that, I like to like really distill things down, because I like I said, my brain is simple and I don't understand things, and I often get caught and I'm like, why are we doing any of this? So the weird thing about this industry is that we've consumerized um, our practice of telling stories, whereas like telling stories over the course of history has had a much different um, point in people's lives. And now it's always been for entertainment to some extent, but now that there's like money involved more, it changes things. And so my point is that it's still important to tell stories that matter, and it's still important to tell stories that make people want to be better humans. And so even though there's this weird Hollywood system, somehow uh, it is a responsibility that I feel to tell those stories, whether a million people see it or not. If it changes one person, it's still worth it to me.
Yeah, I think that's a great note to end on. I think that's a very heartfelt plea to the actor
It
community.
is a plea. It's service. I mean, people think that being the queen is awesome and all that stuff, but I like watching The Crown. I'm just like, this chick is like the biggest servant of them all. Uh, and acting is the same. I think um, if you're doing it right, you're serving the story and you're serving your audience.
Yeah, we need to double down on that.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, thanks so much, Kristen, for talking with us. I really appreciate you coming on.
Of course, I think this is a really cool format, and Yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear all the people you talk to and their perspectives.
Everybody's had such a different perspective, a million different paths.
Which is beautiful. That's life.
It is, but I think acting draws people like us, people that are really actively trying to figure stuff out, that are really actively trying to travel, collaborate, and serve. I guess that is the word I've been looking for. Service.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like servitude, in a lot of like religions and other organizations, they kind of raise that up, catering. We're here to serve. I just noticed that on a Starbucks coffee cup the other day, that they've added those words, here to serve. We're here to serve around the rim of the logo. And I thought, they're hijacking that word, service. They're trying to glorify it. Like, they're trying to put themselves down, but what they're really doing is they're raising themselves up for the world.
Humility. Yeah.
False humility. Yeah. And I've heard that word this week too. It was on another podcast, an actor talking about how we're, Hollywood actors are encouraged to be falsely humble, especially in PR, like you were saying about your Reels entertainment interviewing, that maybe actors on red carpets are falsely humble. But just because they're hijacking these words of humility and servitude doesn't mean that those ideas don't still exist and aren't still
they're wonderful
super
ideas.
Important.
And I think even what you're doing with this podcast is service, because you're trying to create connections for people to feel understood and to have hope. I mean, that's what you're doing with this podcast.
I'm trying. I'm always trying, right?
That's all we can ever do is try.
Yeah.
Some people don't try.
Yeah. That's one thing they won't be able to say about us. At least they tried.
We tried. We tried.
Thanks for listening to the Hollywood Actor Podcast. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening.